Today I have a video that's a little bit different, and it's about that bike that costs $699. I'm even gonna tell you one way you can even get the bike for $649, and that is not very much money for an electric bicycle. I like electric bikes that are powerful, that have great components, that are very high quality. Can you get any of that in a bike that is $699? This bike is called the Z1 and it is sold under the Eunorau brand. The reason I wanted to do a video on this bike is because of your comments. Okay, maybe not you specifically, but somebody watching previous Bolton e-bikes videos. $2,600, ha ha ha, too expensive, can find cheaper. Watching in Australia, just bought a cheap bike on internet. Hope it arrives, hope it arrives. I hope you're also designing a cheaper bike for people who can't afford $1,700. Just saying. What would you recommend for a commuter bike for a guy with a budget under $1,000? I commute about 3 miles to work. I really want an e-bike since I don't have a car, only I have a very low budget. Do you have any recommendations, or would you recommend saving up? More fun if I could afford one. I live 2 miles from work, small town, light traffic. If I buy e-bike, must be inexpensive, not cheap. Have lights, front and rear. Must have rear rack capable of carrying, this sounds more like a demand letter than a request. And not everybody can afford a bike they cost that much. Way too expensive, $3,000. I'd rather go with the Eco-Tricks for $900. Why are they so expensive? Why are the e-bikes so expensive? We're going to address this problem and see, are there any bikes that are under $3,000, under $1,700, under $1,000 that are any good? What do you get when you only pay $699 or maybe $649? Now there's one other thing I really feel compelled to mention, and it is, what else could you get for $699 in the world of e-bikes? You could get the Eunorau Z1. If you have one of the Bikeonic Warthogs, you could literally buy a spare battery. Some bikes that I sell have a battery that costs $699, the same price as an entire bike. I've seen other companies such as Pedigo and Juice that have batteries that cost well over $1,000. I do think some of those might be a little overpriced, but you get my point. When it comes to other e-bikes, you don't get very much component-wise for $699. Many people, of course, are familiar with the Rad Power bikes, and I sell upgrades for those bikes. Let me give you an example of a typical upgrade scenario. Because they want a little more range, a little more performance, they'll buy a new motor, they'll buy an upgrade kit, which includes a new controller and display, they'll buy a new freewheel to put on their new motor, sometimes they'll buy a freewheel removal tool, and then sometimes they'll buy some hydraulic brake calipers. The sum total of those upgrades would be $716. You could upgrade your Rad Rover for $716, or you could have another bike. So let's go through the 5 review points that I am doing for every single bike: price, power, range, technical specifications, and warranty. Is this worth $699? And to that, I'm gonna have to say yes. I think this is worth $699. This is not the same as a more expensive bike. It is a little bit different, but it is a usable bicycle, a usable electric bike. It works, it functions. Price, I have to give it an A for awesome, because there aren't very many options that are inexpensive like this one. This is only a 250 watt rear hub motor. And if I was in Europe, hey, it's a $699 e-bike with the maximum allowed wattage, it would be an A for awesome score. But we're not in Europe. We're in the United States, where we can have bikes that are much more powerful. And if I go up a hill like this one right here on this bike, will it do it? I have got the throttle pinned, and it is going up the hill, but very slowly. I would say like a a brisk walking pace. So it's making it up this hill better than I thought. I wasn't even sure if it could do it. It's just giving you a little bit of an assist. So on flat ground, can it move under its own power? Sure. Could it move under its own power up a hill with somebody half of my weight? Maybe. I'm just gonna give it a neutral score on power because that's about all you can really expect for $699. And number 3 is range. This is the battery on the bike. It's a little bit tiny. This is, just tiny. This is a 6.6 amp hour, 36 volt battery, and that's not gonna get you very far. I know when the Saunders fat bikes first came out, they had a 36 volt, 8 amp hour battery on a 350 watt fat bike. And they were able to demonstrate with a light person, flat ground, they were able to get 20 miles out of it. This is a little less power. The bike is obviously lighter. It's gonna roll easier, but the battery is about a third smaller. So realistically, I think you're in the neighborhood of 15 miles or so on range if you're pedaling and you're using this like a bicycle with just a little bit of an assist. If you try to use throttle, you're gonna kill it much sooner than that. Going back to some of those comments I read, people said they were commuting 2 miles to work, 3 miles to work, maybe even 5 miles to work. In my opinion, that would beat walking the 2-3 miles to work every day. But they do have a battery a little bit bigger than 10 amp hours available as an option separately. So if you need more range, there is a bigger battery that can fit on the bike. I'm gonna give it a neutral score because the bigger battery is sold separately and you can't easily just buy it with the bigger battery. Keep in mind, it's only $699. And now on to number 4, the technical specifications. It has a pretty cool little display. They look really clean and nice. I wish they had some other features. The bike doesn't have that much power, so it's not a huge deal, but this was one of my little pet peeves on this display. You have a power button, a mode button. There's no up and down for your assist levels. So if you want to go from 3 down to 2, you actually have to go 0, lose all your power, 1, 2. It works. It's just obviously not quite as good as a nicer display. But hey, what are you gonna get for the price? We've got leather comfortable grips on here. Comes with a bell. There is a 6-speed. Notice not 7-speed like you see on most bikes, but only 6 speeds. But a Shimano shifter. So it's a step down just a hair from bikes that are more expensive, but not bad. It does have mechanical disc brakes. They are some random cheaper brand I've never heard of, but they do work. Rotor's 160 millimeters, so on the smaller side, but sufficient for how I would expect this bike to be used. No name brakes are doing their job. Working just fine. Fairly cheap plastic pedal on here. It does have a rack and it does have fenders, so that's not bad. And it does also have an integrated tail light and an integrated headlight. So even though it's cheap, it has the bare necessities, plus some things that I still see sold as extra options on more expensive bikes. The racks, the fenders, and the integrated lights. I think it's also worth pointing out that I've used very similar tires to these Kendas on other bikes, and I've seen them last a few thousand miles. So I don't think they skimped out on tire quality. Where they saved a little bit of money was going to the 6-speed setup, the smaller battery, the cheaper pedals. Component-wise, I'm actually pretty impressed for the price point. So I am actually gonna give it an awesome score because at the price, I was expecting more of a toy, more of a cheaper, I don't know what I was expecting, just something less. But these are genuine bicycle components. And finally, number 5, the warranty. They do have a warehouse in Las Vegas, Nevada, so they have US-based support and parts that are here, and it is a warranty of 12 months. What I would consider industry standard right now, so neutral score on the warranty. Thankfully you can get parts and pieces for these things, hopefully for a long time without too much trouble. This bike is only $6.99, but I still gave it an overall score of... So there you have it. This is the Z1 from Eunorau. I want to know what you guys think of affordable bikes like this. What I'm gonna do is put the Z1 for sale on Bolton e-bikes, and because we just passed over 64,000 subscribers, I am gonna make it available until the end of 2020 from boltonebikes.com for $649. So that's how you can save 50 bucks if you want to buy an affordable, less than $700 electric bike. Now, if you want something that's a little bit nicer than this for just a couple $100 more, then I have just the video for you. Make sure to go check out this video right here on the Electric XP.